back, guys. I got it figured out. I was having trouble with the recording and couldn't figure out where one piece of the audio was. But I'm gonna play that in just a second. But I guess let's just get to this. It's United States Department of Justice interview of Ghislaine Maxwell. Date is July 24th, 2025. Appearances for the United States is Todd Blanche, Deputy Attorney General, Diego Pestana, Acting Associate, I guess that's how you say his name, Deputy Attorney General, Spencer Horn, FBI Special Agent, and Mark Beard, Deputy U.S. Marshal. And then for Ghislaine Maxwell is David Marcus, Leah Safian, and then Melissa Madrigal, I guess. So anyway, I'm gonna start my recording over here. So let me go back to the very beginning, and then let me make sure that's all in there. Make sure everything is muted down here. So this is Audacity if you've never used it. That's one way to do audio stuff. Make sure that one's mute. Let me make sure. I had something in there, but it didn't show up. So, okay. So I want to go back up here. We're going to go ahead and start it here. And I'll go to the actual transcript. Come on.
Good morning. My name is Assistant Special Agent in Charge Spencer Horn of FBI New York. Today we're doing a proffer of Ms. Maxwell. The date is July 24th, and the time is 10:12 a.m. This interview is being recorded.
And my name is Todd Blanche. I'm the Deputy Attorney General, and before we start formally asking questions of Ms. Maxwell, I'm going to put on the record everybody that's in this room, in addition to me. Diego Pestana, Associate Deputy Attorney General, and then you heard from Special Agent in Charge Horn. Mark Beard from the United States Marshal Service is here as well. David?
Yes, this is David Oscar Marcus, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell.
My name is Leah Safian, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell. My name is Maxwell, and I'm counsel for And I'm Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine.
Morning, Ms. Maxwell. How are you? Okay, so before we started recording, we met for a few minutes. I introduced myself and we chatted, and now I told you that we were going on the record. And before we start asking questions, I know that you've been given by your lawyer a copy of what's called a proffer agreement. And I just want to spend 2 minutes making sure that you understand what governs our conversation today. The most important part of this agreement is that this isn't a cooperation agreement, meaning that by you meeting with us today, we're really just meeting. I'm not promising to do anything. I'm not promising to ask Judge Nathan or any of the judges that's been assigned to your case to do anything. We're just talking. And so that's the most important part of this agreement. However, almost as important is the fact that what this agreement does for you is it gives you protection. So what it means is that the government cannot use what you say today against you, with some exceptions, which we'll talk about in a minute. But whatever you talk about today, you have what's called immunity. So that means that the words that you say today, we cannot use against you in a case in chief if we were ever to bring one. Okay? There's exceptions to that. The most meaningful one of which is that if you say something today that's not true, that's a lie, we can bring a prosecution against you for what's called false statements. So I'm a federal officer. I have several officers here. The FBI is here, and if you lie to someone that's like me or like Special Agent Horn, it's a crime. So you have to be truthful. The other exception to this that doesn't necessarily apply directly to you, but if there ever was a retrial in your case, or if there ever was a criminal case, a future criminal case against you, and your lawyer or you said something different or took a position that's different than what you say today, we can then cross-examine you or a witness based upon what you say today. So it's a little bit nuanced, meaning I can't use what you say against you in our case in chief. However, if you were to testify, or if your lawyer called a witness to testify and they said something that is totally different than what you say today, we could then cross-examine you or the witness and say, hey, do you remember when we met with Miss Maxwell back in July of 2025? She told us, and then say what she said. Okay. Okay. Other than that, I know you didn't have a lot of time this morning to meet with Mr. Marcus, but did you have a chance to go over this briefly with him?
I did.
Okay. All right. So I have already signed it, as has Special Agent Horn, and Mr. Marcus signed it as well. So you got a pen. Please sign it right where it says clients. Yep. And I will provide a copy of this to you lawyers so you guys have it. Okay. Thank you. So Ms. Maxwell, about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, just confirming that it works and everything. Ms. Maxwell, I guess about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, Mr. Marcus reached out to me and said that you wanted to speak with somebody from the government about not only your case, but about everything that's been in the media and that's been publicized about Mr. Epstein in your case.
That is true, and I did speak to him last week. Oh, did something very keen. Okay, no one from the government at any time ever since the inception of this has ever spoken to me, and that ever reached out to me at any time. And up to when I understand, I should say, rather, that my attorneys at the time did tell the government that I wanted to speak to them because I was very keen to anyone that I could tell and have an answer. And I never had any problem, and I got with myself, and I kept asking.
I have questions that I want to ask you, but I'm not. There's a question that I'm not asking that you think should be asked. I invite you to volunteer. Same thing goes to your lawyer. Just to start a little bit, very briefly, can you talk about when you first met Mr. Epstein? I know that goes back a while, and just very generally talk about your relationship with Mr. Epstein from the time you met him all the way up until his death.
I met Mr. Epstein in 1991. I've never heard of him or met him before, and no one in my family had ever. My brother didn't care, and I'll explain why that is.
Where did you meet him?
I had a girlfriend who I moved to America in I moved to America in 1990. I come to visit America in 1990. I had been running my own company up until that time, which was a company, Maxwell, and I had also been working for my father at the time. I had multiple jobs with him. I was charge of launching a magazine to go with the. And I was traveling at that time, fully because my father was looking at well, it was also bought a villa for the house, and he took purchase and but my father always wanted me to come back full time and work for him, but that's a much longer story. I don't think we need to go into it this time. So, but I was always working with him. There was no escaping, as it were, to work for him. So in 1990, I had come over to help look at some of that. He was having some advertising issues with the New York, and I met a makeup met Donald Trump at that time because my father was friendly with him and liked him very much. And I think he said that he was like Ivana because she was in Czechoslovakia when my dad was from. So I don't remember if I did him or not in 1990 with my dad, but I knew that that's how I knew about
This was before you met.
This was before I met Stetson. Yes. So I was already going back and forth to America. And then, April of 1991, I came to, I can't remember what was a business trip, or there was a business trip, something to do with my dad, actually. And a girlfriend of mine, who was an American, told me, I broken up with my mom. Very long time boyfriend, broken up, which is the right word. Yes, girlfriends do that. What a guy used to meet, who is it? And she goes, he's been dating my sister and we'll love him, he's looking for a wife. I'm 18, 30, and then he's telling me that it's a very important moment for a girl. So like think about important things. Like, sure, like be happy to meet him. And so sometime in 1991, we're in 1991. I met him at his office on that day. And I think the most memorable thing I can think about that is he was wearing a tie which didn't look at giant tomato ketchup thing. I was like, wow, okay. And that was how we met.
Was your meeting at his office for you to meet him personally, or were you there for
I was just
work-related reasons?
not what I knew nothing about it. He just invited me to come and have tea, and I was like, tea, that seems interesting. But what was unusual was in his office. So I went to his office and we met, and I found him very engaging.
So that's how you meet him. So I don't want to spend a lot of time, on this particular issue, but what happened with your relationship over the time you met in 1991 until the time you passed away?
Okay. So I was looking for real estate for my dad to buy something. That I helped him. I'm sure, and looking really good for him. So that's how it started. And then in 1991, my father passed away, and I after that originally to come back and help with the family businesses. And then with the back of my father's passing, his family, and we lost all our business. And my family thought it was best to stay in America because we had to deal with the press and the drama surrounding my father's death. Publicly house and decorate the house and
romantic relationship with her at this point, or just
No.
friends?
Just friends.
And while we're just, with respect to your father, there have been multiple questions about whether he worked for any intelligence agency. Do you have any knowledge about that?
I think certainly my father has a background in intelligence. Technical, a British intelligence. I think that my sister believes that much been an intelligence officer, and you're kind of, well, it doesn't mean that you're forward in your story. So I don't think my dad in any formal sense was a, you know, employed by any agency, but I knew that they're very other words. Ideas. I think that for the activation, that's how I did it. And certainly, I have no formal knowledge. And if you're asking me if I can help, yeah.
Your father and Mr. Epstein have a business relationship over the years? I know we're maybe jumping around.
They never met. So,
As far as you know, they never met.
no, I
No, they never met.
no, they never met.
Well, how do you know they never met?
They just categorically no, they never met. Well, because after in 1991, before my father died, he asked me if I'd met anybody interesting or whatever. His trying not to suck back into the family business. And I told him that I had met Mr. Epstein. The reason why I shared that I'd met Mr. Epstein is I believed at that time that Epstein worked for Best Terms, and Best Terms was one of our banks. And I knew that my father was friendly with both Jimmy King and so my dad came was actually in I don't think I had this conversation that was talking 30 years ago, but I'm not sure. But if maybe I told him this verbatim because I know that what my dad did, whether I saw it or whether I did it probably later, I don't remember. But he called both Jimmy King and these to ask him what guy he was and was the manager. So
they never met.
He didn't even know
But they had. They knew some of the same people. Sounds like, or certainly the Bear Stearns connection was something that
well,
they had.
No, well, he never had a connection with Epstein. He had a connection with the bank. I mean, Epstein, I'd never heard of him. If my dad had known him, right, when I said this is who he was, know who he was. So he rang Ace and he rang Jimmy. So I even knew him. I just want to explain why my father was such. I had some interesting things that have happened in my life, and one of them was IRA kidnapping. And so after that happened, well, there were other horrible things in that thing, but if you want the details of this, I think. But after that happened, my father wanted to protection, and I decided this kind of life restricting events. And so he had told me that taking my life and whatever. And so I think after that, of one house, he was always quite protective. So I met somebody, he was thought it was weird that he was coming to the Ace. But from my perspective, it was just because he was concerned I was in America alone and he had an opportunity to verify who this person was. So I don't know if that's a real thing. I know that at some point, it's fine. You can see it.
Yeah.
She's safe. Okay. Well, okay.
So we might come back and touch a little bit more on that at some point, but
yeah,
I went down a rabbit hole for a minute.
That's right. I just wanted to.
No, that's helpful. Thank you. So okay, so you're now in the 90s and you're friends with constructing your house and decorating the house, or the apartment. What happened with your relationship again? I know we're talking about maybe 35 times here or whatever. To the extent you can kind of very high level talk about it.
Just full disclosure, let's make it go at this point. So in 1992, I went and I was like, "Oh, that's it. I'm gonna be dating," because that's how I thought. And I kind of thought of myself in that moment, like I thought we could set something. That's the world I came from. But that really was that's how it was. And but we didn't sit together again for I don't know.
Years or
that feels long, but 9 months, I mean, a long time. I just want to go back. So I had found a house in Quebec I've been looking on it for my father, and I found one, which was a former Iranian embassy. And I didn't know that he had. I found the house, but and that house was a big apartment. And I put it back together with the second. Gave it back. So he had this house, and I had the apartment because all of that stuff I don't know, or frozen or whatever. Everything was felt very similar to this. Anyway, but I had no key to the house. I had no free access. And the time frame that he was there, which was like
so you said a minute ago that the person that you had slept with them on one occasion, and at the time you remember thinking, that you were in a relationship, but then they really were not, and that's
well,
did that change between 91 and 92 or whatever, and years forward?
So I did travel with him before. Okay. So I would go to his houses and the house in Foundation had a house in Ohio.
Okay.
And had the house in Ohio because of his business relationship with Mr. Wexler. And definitely put that house together. When we traveled together,
Go ahead. It's okay. Talk. So you stayed. So when you traveled to his houses in Palm Beach, Ohio, or even just traveling, just traveling with him, you would stay in the same bed, so sleep in the same bed with him. Okay.
That's being told me that he had a heart condition. Heart condition,
Heart condition. Okay.
which meant that he didn't have intubated. Which is funny, because I actually do have a condition, which means
I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
What was your understanding of his heart condition and why that prevented him from having intercourse?
I mean, like, my personal understanding.
An orgasm's an orgasm. Heart rate's going to rise. I don't understand.
Well, let's come back. We're gonna obviously spend some time, a lot of time on the actual conduct stuff. So we'll come back to that. So pick up where you were talking about traveling around with him. He rented the New York by former radio house until around that 6. I'm gonna ask him to put the name on the record.
Good morning.
Oh,
My
hold
name
on.
is Assistant Special
Sorry.
Agent in Charge Spencer Horn of FBI New York.
Sorry.
Today
I
we're
don't know why it started there. Are we already that far in? Well, I've got a timer set anyway, so hold on one second. Let me look at this really quick. Oh my gosh. So anyway, what do y'all think so far? I mean, this is nuts. Talking about they both have conditions that they can't do the do. Oh my gosh, what in the heck? Okay, let me see here. Let me start another video. Let me stop it here. And that's probably the best place to do it. It seemed like that should have been a while, but I guess not. But anyway, I'll get this other loaded up in just a minute, and then yeah, this is nuts. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. Okay, stop share.